Welcome. We're here to talk about the internationalization of teaching here at UNC Charlotte. Very pleased to talk about some of the wonderful programs that are going on. Part of our panel today, we have Dr. Mary Lynne Calhoun,
Hi.
the Dean of the College of Education, Dr. Jack Piel, who's also on the faculty, and Sarah Ballard, who also is a student intern who will be graduating soon. Mary Lynne, could you talk about this great program that's going on here to internationalize teaching?
I will indeed, Bill. You know, as we prepare great new educators in the 21st century, it's really important that our teachers have knowledge and skills about the world,
Right.
so that they can prepare young people with knowledge and skills to work effectively in our globally interconnected world. We want graduates of North Carolina public schools to be able to communicate and collaborate and compete in a global environment and to work for world peace. We feel, therefore, that it's critically important that future teachers have the chance to know deeply international perspectives, international concerns, and how our students can connect with that. You know, when I think about North Carolina public schools, I know that the world has come to North Carolina. International businesses are here. There are immigrants who have come here for a hopeful life. There are refugees that have come here because this is the place that offers them that hopeful place to be. All of those students from around the world bring gifts, bring talents, bring language and life experience that will help all of North Carolina's pupils advance in their capacity to work in the world. So what does that mean for us who care about preparing new teachers and new school leaders? We've got to be connected to the world. Now, that's a challenge for us in teacher education because we prepare people for a North Carolina teaching license. Right. And there is a very well-defined, standards-based curriculum that our future teachers need to complete. And so that can be seen as a barrier for international experiences or studying abroad. We have creative faculty, and creative and innovative students who figured out ways to circumvent that barrier. One of the ways is to connect internationally through technology, through web-based interactions with teacher candidates and pupils around the world. Another way is for our teacher education candidates to interact with the international community in the Charlotte region and beyond. But perhaps the most exciting way is for students, future teachers, to actually travel abroad and to connect with the culture, to connect with education issues outside of North Carolina. And one program that has made that possible for our teacher education candidates is through a partnership with the Educational University in Ludwigsburg, Germany. And the innovator behind that program is Dr. Jack Piel. So I'd love for Jack to tell us a little bit about that program.
Sure, I'd be happy to. We have a program called TSAC, Teacher Education Study Abroad Consortium. And it is a collaborative effort between the Pädagogische Hochschule in Ludwigsburg, Germany, where every other year we'll recruit UNC Charlotte students to spend 2 months in Germany studying the same content, same curriculum that they would be studying on campus. The advantage of that approach is that students don't fall behind in that they can take a regular teaching load in Germany. The advantage of being in Germany is meeting obviously international students, international faculty from Ludwigsburg who share the teaching responsibility with 2 faculty members who go on the trip with our students. Not only do we teach the content that they would have should they stay on campus, but we travel with them occasionally. They travel on their own with free time to France and Austria, the Czech Republic, Italy during their free time, and get a broader understanding of what international students are like, what the international curriculum looks like. It's an opportunity for them to have a global perspective. Many of our students have never traveled outside of North Carolina. We've had several students who've never been on an airplane, so their first experience traveling to Germany was a real eye-opener. Sarah's been there twice with us, and it might be helpful for us to get her students' perspective about what the trip is like.
Sure. The first time I went in 2009, I had never been outside of the country, and I found out about the trip the day that Dr. Piel was holding the first interest meeting. I saw a poster in the College of Education, emailed him immediately. He said, come to the orientation tonight. I said, okay, I'll be there. Left the orientation, called my parents and said, I'm going. We're going in September, we're leaving. Let me explain this to you. So we started the semester here like we normally would, first day of class in August, 5 weeks here. We left middle of September, flew to Germany. We were in Munich for about 3 to 4 days, and then went to Ludwigsburg and stayed there for the remainder of the week, and then began school at the PH in Ludwigsburg. It was awesome. Same thing this year, well, in 2011. Started school in August, left. We were there for 2 months, didn't want to come home, unfortunately, and then finished up and took exams here. So it's really a great way to get people to understand that you can take a full load and you won't fall behind, and you'll still be able to do your student teaching. I was in my first semester of student teaching, so I didn't fall behind for anything, and I was still able to go. It's great.
What would you say are some of the greatest lessons you've learned that you can pass on to potential teachers?
I can tell you something that has really stuck with me, and it came from Sarah's first trip. A student came to me on our way over and said, the conversation was relative to students, her students in her elementary school classroom who came not speaking English. Mm-hmm. And her approach was, what I have to do is make sure that they learn English and not concentrate on their language that they hear at home. And after the trip, she came to me and said, I have a completely different view. I know what it's like to be different. I know what it's like to try to learn in a language that I don't understand. It's very difficult to be in a situation where people are speaking a language that I don't know. So I'm going to do my absolute best in my classroom to not only be able to help these children to learn to speak English, but for me to try to communicate in their language as well. So it opened her eyes as to how children who are international aren't so much different as children, but the language that they use is what really separates them. Another striking outcome of the program for me was we developed a DVD that demonstrates how German students learn mathematics. Mm-hmm. And we have a comparison DVD of how American students learn mathematics. And what we discovered was children from Germany and children from the US make exactly the same mistakes. Their understanding is exactly the same based upon their age. Their misunderstandings are more based upon a developmental issue that's very similar between the German students and the American students.
One of the challenges we face in our country is that our teacher retention rates have not been that great. We have a lot of teachers that are leaving the profession within the first 5 years. What do you see taking place in Europe and countries such as Germany? Are they having the same struggles?
Not so much.
Why do you think that is?
The German teachers are social servants. They're not necessarily hired by a school district. So they have a career pathway that is not based upon school district to school district. It's more of a state employee where they see their position more as a long-term career than maybe some of our students do, some of our teachers do.
Mary Lynne, obviously this has been a very successful program. Would you like to expand this program here at the College of Education?
I dream about expanding this program. I'd like every one of our teacher education candidates to have a passport and get on a plane,
Right.
and have the experience of encountering students and teachers and cultures in places outside of the United States, so that knowledge and experience can feed back into their careers here. In addition to the wonderful comments that Jack has made about how teachers' perspectives change, I would hold out that some teachers really come back on fire after an international experience, are so committed to preparing young people for the world, to be contributing citizens in the world, that their outcomes are better with their pupils and their commitment to the profession is stronger. We have this amazing partnership with the Educational University of Ludwigsburg, or as Jack used the German, the Pädagogische Hochschule Ludwigsburg. Would love to have an equivalent kind of partnership with a university in China, and we have colleagues that are working to develop study abroad experiences in China, and would love to have a similar experience with a university in a Spanish-speaking country, perhaps in Central America. A barrier for many of our teacher education candidates, beyond not having a passport yet or not getting on a plane yet, is the expense. It's not terribly expensive to do this work. You know, the tuition is the same at the university, but there are travel-related expenses. And modest travel grants to support our students in doing this work would make the experience much more accessible to many more of our students. So philanthropic support for international study abroad experiences for future teachers would make a huge difference. We welcome the opportunities to think through how we might expand great efforts like this one for our teacher education candidates.
And Sarah, what advice do you have for teacher candidates about how did this make you a better teacher, prepare you better for the classroom?
Definitely take some sort of approach to learning about other cultures. I've learned a lot as a student about collaboration with not only other student teachers from here, but the collaboration week that we have with the German students is great. We learn how they teach English to other students, so that helps enlighten us about students in our class that may not know English, so we may have a better idea of how to help them. And then telling them how we teach reading and math helps us understand things better. So to learn just how to collaborate and get along with other colleagues and be open to other cultures would be my best advice for that.
Jack, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, just one practical issue related to studying abroad. I know in the difficult job market that many teachers are worried about finding employment after they graduate. I can tell you that every one of our students who have gone on an international experience have had employment opportunities, and several of them have taught internationally. I can think of a couple, one who stayed in Germany and taught in a German school. When he first began the program, he had no German language experience, and now he's teaching in Germany. Another was teaching in Egypt until recently, and it was her first international experience when she went on the TSAC program experience and took her first position teaching in Egypt. So there's an advantage to have an international experience on your resume because future employers will look for teachers who can deal with students not only from North Carolina, but children who come to their classrooms from other places as well. So it's a good thing to get that kind of experience, not only for your own self, but for your future employment opportunities.
Well, I'd like to thank all of you for being here. Mary Lynne, this is just another example of the UNC Charlotte College of Education being a front runner and getting out in front of some of these wonderful programs that we clearly need. So thank you all very much. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.